Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to build a foundation, a psychological foundation for success. So I received several questions and responses from a tweet that I posted a couple weeks ago about success and what I think is ultimately at the foundation of it. You can go and read any book. I'm sure you know some of the books in my bookshelf here are about success. But did they really talk about what is at the psychological foundation of success? I would say, yeah, they probably do actually, but only indirectly. Do they really explicate it in a clear way? No, they do not, so that's what we're going to do in this video. And just to be clear, by success, I mean achieving a value that is healthy for you. Now, I don't know you, but I know the two values that are going to be the healthiest for you, the two things that you're going to want in your life that are going to indicate success are money and relationships. And I know a lot of therapists say, oh, it's not about, happiness isn't about money. I want you to live a complete life, and money, that's just, there's nothing to do with it, or if that's way down there on the value hierarchy. No, money is important. Is it everything? No, it's important. And typically I think people would be happier if they learn how to make more money. Not all the time, but typically. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about success, which I don't know. Now that I'm saying it, now I'm saying that word success a lot, some of this advice may be a little bit fresh coming from me, because if you know anything about me, I've pretty much failed at everything I've ever tried. I've had some success, and maybe that's why I'm somewhat suited to talk about this, because I definitely know what it's like to fail, and I know what it's like to succeed, and I can look at both situations and look at other situations and look at what I know about psychology to come at what I think is fundamental to it. So this is, from a tweet that I posted a couple weeks ago, and I will quote the tweet here. I'm quoting myself, that's always fun. And the tweet is this: the typical fantasy is to catch the game-winning touchdown. I guess it's a good topic because we just had the Super Bowl. So the typical fantasy is to catch the game-winning touchdown. But the fantasy you need to live a good life is to drop the game-winning touchdown and not make it mean anything, not make it mean something about who you are. And the two responses or questions I received from this fall in the two general categories. The one category is, well, yeah, but wouldn't it just be better to catch the game-winning touchdown? And the other response fell into the general category of, well, how could you drop the pass or keep dropping passes and not make it mean anything about you? And I guess to tease out what we're talking about here, I do think it would be good to drop or to catch the pass. And as your therapist, if you were my client, I would want you to catch that pass. That's good. Then that would be great success, and I'm happy for you, of course. I'm not trying to, disconnect you from the world and say, well, it ultimately doesn't matter, and, that's the thing that depressive nerds do, is they just rationalize everything away and like, oh, it's really no big deal. And there's a good Simpsons joke about that. The road to the Super Bowl is long and pointless. I mean, when you think about it. But no, I do think it does matter. So let's talk about it. I think a good way to introduce what I mean here when I say I want you to be able to drop that pass and not make it mean something about you, to introduce this in a little bit different way. When people come into therapy, they have an issue with a relationship, usually. Not all the time, but usually they have an issue with a relationship. And it usually takes the form of, hey, I have this girlfriend or I have this boyfriend and it's not working out. I really love this girlfriend and boyfriend and I want it to work out. So I'm here in therapy to learn whatever I can to make this relationship work. That's what I'm here for. And to that, I say, great. I really hope we can make this relationship work for you. I really hope we can work on these issues so you can make this relationship work. But I got to be honest, that may not be the best end result for you. Well, I want you to have this relationship that works, but I want you to do more. What is more fundamental, what we're talking about here, is to develop those behaviors, to develop those patterns, to develop ultimately a relationship with your unconscious, with your emotions, that will lead to more successful relationships in the long term. Right? I want you to develop the substratum, the soil, from which it is really easy, it is natural to grow healthy relationships. I mean, you find that in soil, in fertile soil. You can't not grow stuff in fertile soil. Like, if the Nile floods enough, you're going to grow. You're going to grow whatever it is you need to grow. And that's what I think is important. Now, it may mean that you will develop out of this relationship you're in. It may not. It depends on the situation. But that's what I mean. Wanting to hold on to this relationship and do whatever I can to make this relationship work, that's like thinking you need to catch the game-winning pass, when really you need something more fundamental that will lead to healthier relationships long-term and more catching of game-winning passes. And I think, what this gets at, what I'm trying to talk about here, what's fundamental to success is this, this uncovers two fundamental views of success that we have in our Western culture, or maybe it's just American culture, I don't know. I think generally it's Western culture, and it falls in line, in our cultural divide that we're seeing now between, generally speaking, the left and the right. The right's view of success is you just believe in yourself. You believe in yourself enough, you visualize, and you will make that game-winning catch happen. In a sense, you have total control over whether you make that game-winning catch. And if you do drop the game-winning catch, then you must not have prepared enough. There must be, now, somebody with this view wouldn't say this, but the implication is there's something wrong with you. If you didn't catch that pass, there's something wrong with you. So that's one view of success, which isn't necessarily wrong, but it's incomplete. Very much exemplifies the split between the left and the right. No side is totally right and no side is totally wrong. They're just two different, what we say here, that they're two different sides of the same coin. And that's why there's the split, because if you're on the right, you can always look at the left and say, well, here's how you're wrong, therefore you think you're right, because you can point out how they're wrong. But the left can do the same thing to the right, and that's why it's difficult to communicate well. So that's the right's view of success. The left's view of success is it's random. It's totally random. Success is mostly up to luck. And whether you catch that game-winning pass, maybe you didn't catch it that day, but you would have caught it another day, and there's no point in really thinking about it, right? That this is just all random. And of course, if you watched 3 of my videos, you know that this is another indication. This different view of success is another indication of the mind-body dichotomy. The right in this situation being exemplifying the mind, the left exemplifying the body. The right says, no, you just impress your mind on matter. You do it hard enough. You do enough visualizations, you do enough affirmations, you do that hard enough, and you're going to change matter. And the left, matter over mind, right? Well, there's nothing, your mind, may perhaps be this wonderful thing, but it's ultimately impotent. There's no way it can really influence matter. Matter influences mind. So we're all just subject to random, however your the electrons in your body aligned in that day cause you to drop the pass, or you just are unlucky, or you just weren't born with some talent that you needed to catch that pass. And the truth is, the truth about success, it's not a combination of both. That would be a lazy or inaccurate way of saying it. I think it's really more of a it's not a combination of both. It's a what is it? Both the left and the right indicate symptoms of the foundation of success, but they don't get at the foundation. And the foundation, both the left and the right, here's a better way of saying it. Both the left and the right indicate what's going on the surface, but they don't get the foundation. So I think the foundation of success ultimately comes down to 2 things. One is self-development, and the other is iteration. Now, the iteration takes care of the randomness issue brought up by the left, and the self-development, when we understand how to do it, takes care of the, you just didn't believe in yourself hard enough, or you must have done something wrong. And that takes care of the right's explanation of success. Are you able to show up every day, effectively every day, and do the work that you need to do? And if you do not get the result that you want, are you able to either, 1, develop yourself into the kind of person who you need to be in order to do that work? Now, in the case of, when it comes to catching a pass, You probably need a coach, or why didn't you catch that pass, right? Well, maybe you were upset because, your girlfriend broke up with you, she asked for some space, and that kind of reminded you, or that kind of linked up with this one time when you were a kid and your dad said you were a disappointment and your brain just kind of short-circuited. Okay, well, we can go in and work on that. That doesn't mean anything about you. It's just something we need to go in and work on. And then if you iterate it enough, I think there is like the left says, I think there is some randomness, there is some luck out there, but do you iterate enough? Do that enough times while including, developing yourself, whether it's your skills or your psychology, then you're going to be successful. I don't know if you're going to be as like Jeff Bezos successful. I'm not saying that, but are you going to be more and more successful every day? Are you going to be able to create a living for yourself that you can be proud of? Of course. And it's not about believing in yourself, right? And it's not about randomness. Like, I don't even know, what does believing in yourself even mean? I don't even know. I really don't even know what that means. And randomness, of course, there's randomness, but iteration definitely makes up. Iteration with awareness definitely makes up with that. So yeah, back to the game-winning catch. Why is it better to drop it? Because all that is it exposes an issue that you have, an issue that when you work on, it's going to lead to more catching of game-winning passes in the future. That's why it's more important. That's why it's more fundamental to be okay with yourself. Because that means if you're okay with yourself and you can distance yourself from perhaps making this mistake short term, I know that's going to lead to more success long term, like the girlfriend thing, right? Even if your development does lead to breaking up with your girlfriend, that's going to suck. It is going to suck, and it is going to be painful, and you may even start to blame me about it. But I know. I don't have to believe in anything. I know it's not mind over matter or matter over mind. It is mind in conjunction with matter. It is matter in conjunction with mind. I know you're going to be able to create more success, even better success. And you thought that girlfriend was a success, or that game-winning catch was a success. It would have been, but we can do that more and more and in different ways and in every area of your life. And I think as an aside, I want to mention here, often, and this comes more from the left, if I had to say, we like to point to neurotic people and say, oh, look, they have a screw loose and that's why they're successful. A famous example of this is Sherlock Holmes. He's autistic, right? And because he's autistic, because he's so unaware of things that would cloud our judgment, he can just zero in and perform these awesome feats of deduction. It's not really deduction, it's induction. It's making inferences based on on what he sees, but whatever. Or, the obsessive compulsive, super high achieving person, and they use their obsessive compulsiveness, they use that anxiety to help them achieve. And we can point to these examples, and they definitely exist. But I gotta tell you guys, they are outliers. I mean, obviously, if you're autistic, or if you have OCD, having these disorders will generally lead to less success overall. In the short term, and certain people can really capture these issues and use them to their advantage. But a lot of times when people have these issues, they can't do it, and it leads to less success overall. I mean, right, and from my experience, looking at my life and knowing people who have been able to be really successful, like, really successful people, it's not that at all. It's not some crazy neurotic thing. They're not overworked. They don't have all these, busyness issues, working for the sake of work. Their success comes from whatever semblance they have of psychological health, from their ability to iterate and have awareness over their iterations, which, ultimately comes down to how well you manage emotions. I guarantee you, your success in your life overall is going to come down to how well you can manage your emotions. Now, maybe you don't think I'll be able to help you with that. That's fine. I wish you well in your journey. But if you think I may be able to help, we do free consultations, animusempire.com. schedule. Let me know what's going on. I can talk with you about what I do if I think I can help you, or I can point you in a better direction. And then another aside, at the risk of going too long here, another aside, I just want to say, I'm not a Jungian. I'm a guy who is influenced by Jung mostly. 90% of, I think, of what I do is influenced by Jung. I don't think Jung delineated everything in psychology or in therapy, but he did a lot. Like I say in my book, Jung is the Socrates of psychology. We need to take the fundamental issues that he has laid out and iterate them and come up with I think a more productive way of applying them in therapy and in psychology. And I got to tell you, the one thing that you get from reading enough Jung is a problem is not your problem. If you have a problem, it is not your problem. It is a problem you have. And that sounds like, I don't know, some lame therapy talk. I get it. And if you don't get it right now, I don't blame you for thinking I'm lame for saying that. But it is not your problem. It is a problem you have. Problems are these things that just kind of float around out there, and they inhabit, I was going to say infect, they don't infect, that would be a negative connotation, but they inhabit us at different times in our life and in different ways. And in a way, it's a great thing because it allows you, we get these problems that we all have, right? We get these problems, and they allow us to work on our psychology. Now we have a good reason. Now we get to, right? We don't have to, we don't need to, we get to work on our psychology so we can go on and catch whatever game-winning pass is for us. So I will leave it there, and I'll leave Jung to give us a reminder, which I think would be the problem that gets in the way of you and your success. It's not your problem. It's a problem you have, and that's great news because that will give us a much more definite way to manage it.